Party officially endorsing or opposing the governor's budget proposal?
I can tell you unequivocally, Chairman of the Ohio Democratic Party unequivocally opposes Governor Kasich's budget. Will urge my colleagues, and a member of the legislature, will urge my colleagues to join me, and at the next executive session of the Ohio Democratic Party will offer a resolution stating the same, and it will pass unanimously. The Ohio Democratic Party, of which I am their chief spokesman, adamantly opposes this budget. If there is an opposite to unendorse this particular budget. I don't know the equivocation and the rhetorical dramatics of Bob Bennett this morning, the difference between endorse and support. You're either with the guy or you're against the guy. The governor of the state of Ohio and the party chairman of the majority party of this state do not agree on the word endorse and support. I suspect not only are they looking for a new chairman in weeks, probably in days, because the chairman of the Republican Party does not endorse the governor's framework for moving our state forward.
Do you not endorse Medicaid expansion?
I absolutely will endorse the expansion of Medicaid, and the great news is, Paul, we have a past that reflects our support for Medicaid expansion. And when a Democrat stands and sits in committee and then stands on the floor to offer the budget, the amendment to the budget, to separate that idea, we will overwhelmingly, in our caucus, will entirely support it. And we'll look to see our Republican friends whether they'll support it as well. Because what they'll do, as you know, is they'll move to table the amendment. And they'll not allow that standalone vote. They need cover from their Tea Party friends. They need that expansion in the budget. Democrats have stood firmly in support of expanding eligibility for Medicaid for years and years. You remember the old fights with Bob Taft, Tom Johnson, Tim Keene, when they kept rolling incrementally back the requirements for eligibility. First it was 115%, then 100, then we moved to 90%. We fought them tooth and nail. We'll do the same thing if they try and walk away from this expansion, which President Obama has championed. Politics is an interesting business to be in, and to see the rhetorical gymnastics that we've encountered this morning gives even me pause.
Your position on the budget, minus the Medicaid question, of opposing it, suggesting that your party opposed, is exactly what Bennett was talking about this morning, that you're up there trying to prevent jobs from happening because this is a Jobs 2.0 budget. And so aren't you just making Chairman Bennett's point by saying you're going to urge all your caucus to vote against it?
Absolutely. The difference here is I'm right and he is wrong. He is wrong on the facts and he is wrong on the history. And it will be the Democrats who will repeatedly offer amendments to make this budget acceptable so that Democrats can support it. I want to remind all that when I use terms like the largest sales tax increase in state history, factually it's correct. When I say that he's going to increase taxes on hundreds, if not thousands, of items in activities, factually that's correct. The bill as presented is explicit in its language that it is only, that activity or product is only exempted if it is specifically exempted in law or prior law. Every other activity is included. How on earth can Republicans go back home as fiscal conservatives and argue to their constituents but that they are in fact true to their word? They are not. They won't. And as I said today via tweet, I think at Jim Heath, please proceed, Mr. Chairman, because he is in a difficult position. Now, as Democrats, well, on its face, the budget's unacceptable because the burden it places on working families. For Democrats to say we're not going to support it, that is true. And that can only be changed if Governor Kasich, if Bob's friends in the legislature follow our lead and invest more in the middle class rather than less.
Does this amount to a tax hike for some families, in your opinion?
Well, for some families, absolutely. The bottom line is the top 1%. If you look at the brackets, top 1% of the state of Ohio, those making more than $335,000 a year, get a $10,369 net tax cut. Those in the middle, between $33,000 to $55,000 a year, get about a net $8 tax cut. I'm sorry, tax. those, the poorest among us, the lower 20%, will realize a 63% tax hike. Because you may not have to file income taxes, as Bob continues to point out, because of your income. You may get what income taxes you pay back. The same opportunity is not available for your purchase of the microwave, the refrigerator, the improvements you have to make on your furnace, and now your kid who wants to download a song on his iPad or iPod or iPhone. Your trip that you waited for all year to Cedar Point. The trip to the laundromat when your washing machine has broken down. Your trip to the barber. Your trip to the funeral home. Your trip to pick up your loved one who just gave birth. Your trip to go purchase any item in the state that's not explicitly exempted. Those burdens fall equally on the wealthiest among us and the poorest among us. And that burden is going to be shouldered on more Ohioans because more Ohioans are struggling today in Ohio than ever before. The governor knows this, and because he has to have a giveaway to reward those closest to him with a massive income tax, he is shifting the burden from the wealthiest and the politically connected onto the shoulders of the middle class with a massive sales tax increase.
But you know,